Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Nick Henderson, and I'm the lead counselor and director and owner of Essai Education. We're a counseling company based in Delhi, but we work all over the world. And it's super to be here with Ritu and OMOTEC to talk about science projects, college applications, and everything like that. Now, I have a short presentation, and Ritu ma'am and I will just deliver this. And then any questions we'd love for you to ask. As soon as they come to you, go ahead and start asking, okay? Just type them right in the chat. Now, so we are going to begin. Now, so we're going to talk about redefining your college application experience. This is what people do. They apply to university. If you guys are in high school, you're probably thinking about this. And I play a role in this, and OMOTEC plays an important role in this. And we just sort of, it's very useful to understand how these pieces fit together. Now, that's me. I went to Harvard in about 20 years ago. I've been a teacher. I've written a textbook, and I've been a counselor for about 10 years. And we specialize, my company does end-to-end profile building and college application support at the really good unis in the US and the UK. And I've come to meet Ritu ma'am and her, and her organization because we had many students in common, and it was very inspiring.
Hi, thanks so much, Nick. So this is me. I am the founder of OMOTEC. OMOTEC is on my own technology. We specialize in tech, and we actually have tech interfacing with multidisciplinary innovation platforms. We integrate STEM education with design and research, and we have published more than 450 research papers. We have helped students even acquire patents. And we've also taken patents and prototypes to TRL level 6, where we allow them to even commercialize. So that's about me. And I'll come to you in detail later when we speak specifically about research and innovation.
Absolutely. And I think OMOTEC I first discovered it because you had so many students doing really well in the iris. And I thought, wow, because I'd always known about the iris. You guys probably have heard of this. And if you haven't, we'll tell you about it. But it's basically India's leading science fair. The deadline is today, redo. So we're helping our students get their submissions in right now. I'm sure your teams are as well.
Yes.
Great. Now, here's just a quick thing about my company. So having a good profile helps, okay? There's 3 parts of getting into a great uni. Very good grades, very good SAT, and a very good profile, okay? Now, a lot of people say that, oh, there are so many kids with straight A's, there are so many kids with, brilliant SAT scores. That's really not true. It's very difficult to get perfect grades. It's very difficult to get a nearly perfect SAT score. So what we do is we try to build the profile up so it makes the difference, okay? And so if the grades are a little lower, but the profile's really strong, that can be enough. Now, and so this is just something that we've seen work, and it's just defined my methods over the years. So you'd say the average acceptance rate for international students to the leading US unis is about 5%. For me, for my students who are at a minimum level of academic achievement, you can't be getting D's and C's if you want to try for Harvard, okay? You also just don't need A stars, all A stars. My acceptance rate is about 90% for the kids who are at a minimum level of academic achievement. That's about an 18 times benefit, okay? You could say when you're applying with an average SAT score, I get you into a good uni, top 50, 100% of the time, okay? And interesting thing, our results tend to be about 25% of our cohort has really good academics. They do largely get into the Ivy Leagues. About another 50% of our cohort, the middle of it, they get into the kind of American top 30. Most of these students do not have an absolutely magnificent SAT, which is interesting. So 70% of our students who got into for their universities last year, they had a below average SAT, 70%. So that's what a good coherent profile made of the best pieces can get you. Now, so very quickly, one more stat. Average SAT required for these unis. We call these the Global Select. And it starts with Harvard, and then it's Stanford, and then it's Yale. I put Harvard first because that's my uni, but you could put any of these first and it would make perfect sense, is about 1,500. And for us, it's about 1,430. Okay. So you don't need to have super, super perfect, flawless academics to get in. You're more than a score. Okay. And then, so what we do is we do the whole thing. Okay. So we do multi-year programming, one-on-one mentoring, and we're making sure that our students are kind of building up the right profile through social work, through internships, okay, through online courses, through school engagement. Or there's about 5 or 6 different things that are really important. Okay. And then, of course, we can help with the applications and essays as well. Now, an application is 3 bits. Okay. It's school grades, and this is generally speaking your semester grades from 9th, 10th, 11th, and the first semester of 12th. Your SAT score, it's a standardized test of math and English. And then there's your profile. That's a set of extracurricular activities which showcases select student attributes. That's how we think of it. Because your activities showcase your story. All right. If you do a bunch of great research projects with OMOTEC, you obviously have a great robotics and engineering story or physics story. It's like that. Now, and this is where I come in. It's the fun part. Now, here's a really important thing for you guys because, when Ritu Ma'am and I were talking, it was a lot of stuff about, we realized that one of the hardest things is to basically, decide the topic of a research paper. And so really my profile philosophy comes down to 2 parts. Your profile is a story that can be said in one nice sentence. I want to study blank subject because of blank reason. Okay? This because, that's the whole part of having a profile. Okay? Now, usually this because is about because you want to solve a problem, because you want to address an issue. And for science applicants, that's incredibly important. It's vital. So that's why it's so great when kids can get hands-on with science and build really high quality projects, because then you find your because. Now, the act of building a profile is about as complicated probably as filing your taxes. You guys haven't done that yet, but your parents probably have. And so that's a good thing. All right. It's good that it's complicated because the more complicated the application is, the more chances to make good decisions and to build a great story. A very simple application would be the application to, say, IIT Mumbai. Okay. Take a test, clear a cutoff, you're in. That's absolutely black and white. And so for the American system, all these moving pieces, a profile, picking the right subjects, doing the right activities, it's a golden opportunity. A, because it's always fun. B, because you can do it really well. And C, because most people really get it quite wrong, frankly. Now, so can we redefine a profile? Absolutely. This is a mix of special and curated activities that's relevant to a subject. Remember, I want to study blank subject because, which contains summer schools, research projects, social service projects, academic and non-academic enrichment, internships, and school engagement to show that because, to show those reasons why you want to study it. Okay. So quickly, profile building is about building up 10 key activities. Okay. 10. And so it's all around your intended major. And these generally speaking would focus on planning and getting into really good summer programs, targeting a mentored research project that fits your story. That's where OMOTEC comes in. Planning and supporting cool internships that fit your academic story. Planning and supporting an issue-driven social project that fits your story. Okay. Doing academic enrichment, that's like Olympiads, and then building up your profile in school, telling you which clubs to join, helping you start a club, all of that stuff we do. Now, We also have a new tech platform. We started it last year. It's called Pippums. And so this is a very low cost compendium of activities. It's a searchable database that has automatic eligibility filtering, which has logic in it, which even suggests the right activities for you. So everyone should go to pippums.com. You can sign up. It's a freemium model. You can start for free. You can get a lot of benefit out of it for free. And then I think it's like 1,000 rupees a year these days. This is not expensive. So we would welcome everyone here to do this. Now, so we talked a lot about some of these activity types, okay, and the mentored research project. And this sort of is what OMOTEC does. It takes it much further than just a paper, but it's all the same thing. And so this is one of the major academic pieces of a college profile. And so you could say, well, what is a research project? Well, technically, it's a structured 10 to 15 page academic exploration of a social or scientific phenomena. That just means like an issue using academic methods. And every academic subject has different methods they apply. And there's two types, independent and mentored. And the mentored projects are the most valuable because they can be at a higher standard. Now, quickly, and I'm not going to steal too much more time, a lot of people wonder, well, what on earth is a research project? Like literally, what is it? Okay. Like I said, this is a 10-page paper, 10 to 15-page paper. It usually has 5 or 6 sections. It'll have an introduction with a problem statement. It'll usually have a literature review component to see that you've checked out what other academicians have done. It'll have some kind of methods and data section, some kind of analysis and results section, some kind of conclusion, and some kind of works cited. This is it. Okay. Basically, this is it. Now, and how do you pick a topic? And I think Ritu is going to talk about this, but it begins with curiosity, choosing something that fits you. Okay. And then I think you have to get quite specific with it, right? And so, as we're going to talk about in a few minutes, this is really important that you can't do like a physics research project. It's too broad, okay? It's always going to be in relation to some specialization. We always want to be linking this to some kind of overall plan that connects with your story, okay? And ideally that links up with your intended major. And then we try to keep it doable because, it's all well and good if you want to do a really amazing, super high-tech project, but if you can't do it, that's not good, okay? And that's something that I admire most about OMOTEC. They really execute and they get this stuff done. So, it's like a simple flow chart. It's like you have your intended major, that could be physics. You have a specialization, that could be astrophysics, or that could be particle physics, okay? It's a specialization within your intended major. And then you have your research specialization. That's a subdivision of this one, okay? And so this is usually, there's about, I don't know, about 100 majors in these universities. Each one of these probably has about 7 or 8 clear specializations. Each one of these probably has about 10 to 20 potential further specializations. That's a lot of specializations. And so, for instance, looking at, say, here's physics, you got cosmology, you got biophysics, you got particle physics, you've got astronomy. There's many more different specializations than this. And then within astronomy, galaxy formation, gravity stuff, okay? It's like a lot. There's many different things you could do. Now, and so what are the good outlets to target? Well, Discover is my entity. We do a lot of social science work. This is not hands-on. This is not in a lab like OMOTEC. OMOTEC's very special in that way, but we can definitely help with the more theoretical things. We love doing that. And then there's OMOTEC, which is real projects, innovations and devices, pretty fabulous. So, and then maybe now ma'am can tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you so much, Nick, for taking me through this. Nick, do you want me to share my screen and
Yeah,
take the
sure, why don't you go for it?
presentation?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. So thank you for that. And I'll take you through what OMOTEC is all about. OMOTEC, we are about writing research papers, developing prototypes, filing patents, helping students to showcase their projects, because that's also a very important part of your profile building. We help them get into various uh, platforms like RSI, International Admits. We help you with different subjects. It could be uh, biotechnology, it could be physics, it could be mathematics, it could be STEM, engineering, industrial automation, sustainability. You can think of where tech can marry with each other, and we have explored all those areas. So that's how we'll go about it. Sorry, just a minute. Just okay, I'll do this. All right. So what are the various places where OMOTEC really helps you? We help you in building your profile. We help you in publishing the research paper. Once you have written a research paper, there are various journals nationally and internationally. You have journals that have certain dedicated spaces like engineering, mathematics, and you have specialized journals for specialized research papers. And we help you find those journals, apply. You have proper reviews that happen. You present it to the journal and you get accepted, and it gets published over there in your name as the prime author. We help you build a smart maker portfolio. So anything that you have thought, any idea that you think you want to execute, you actually execute it hands-on and then showcase it as your maker portfolio. You can also club it with an internship program. So if you have done internships in various companies in different fields of specialization, you can link your research paper to those internships. So we don't do a research paper which is completely separate from what you are all about. So if you have an internship and you have enjoyed something in industrial automation, we would like to do the research paper continuing with your internship, with your area of specialization and what you really look forward to. So it's a very,
I would also,
yes.
I would also add that those knowing which journals to submit to can be very complicated.
Yes, it
It's
is.
hard to know the good ones because there's a lot of bad ones.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of end-to-end support, right from deciding the topic to putting it together and submitting, getting it accepted in a really good journal, high impact journal, is the value that we bring to the table. We help you execute community outreach projects. So, for example, if you want to work for a special community, you want to preach about using certain materials for sustainability, you want to preach about certain area of improvement in your community, we can help you build prototypes for that. And I'll come to the examples a little later so that you specifically know how we prototype, how we make those little concepts into reality, ideas into execution, and show you how to execute it till the end. See, these projects, again, you have lots of innovation platforms. We help you showcase them nationally and internationally. We help you build websites. apps and write blogs around the entire project that you have taken to do. So what happens is you take one project, write a research paper, and take it at different levels of showcasing it to competitions as well as building website or apps. It depends how much you want to scale your project to. You can do multiple projects, or you can have one project with various iterations to it as well. Last but the most important thing, we help you in file patents and IPs. From design patent to utility patents, we have helped students do all of it. Talking about research paper writing, as Nick rightly said, it could be really very tough. Writing a research paper and publishing it in the right place is super important. There are reputed journals. They are the legal journals where one needs to publish it, and they ask you for corrections. They accept or reject your
Mm.
paper. It's all a part of the process, and you have to go
Yeah.
through it if you want to see it showcased on that
Mm.
platform.
How
Uh,
long do how long does these take? Because I know sometimes the really high level journals can be what some months when they're reviewing everything, right?
yes. So,
Mhm.
Nick, this is divided into two parts. One is where they accept your paper and they
Mhm.
tell you to do the changes. So you do
Sure.
changes, you
Yeah.
send it back to them, they
Yeah.
review, they give you a certificate of acceptance. And once
Okay.
you get that, then it takes
Right.
another 8 to 9 months where the journal actually cites it on its website. So the whole
Okay.
process of publishing could be close to 1.5 years. But
But
with
if you have the certificate, that's pretty
that's
good.
yeah,
Right.
that's deemed published. So you have a
Yeah.
certificate of acceptance
Yeah.
only after you've done all the changes. And the
Yeah.
most important thing in a published paper is the fact that you need to get indexed. So there is a DOI link that you get. That
Yeah.
means the paper is in text, and that
Mhm.
is the important part of a particular journal. If it is not
Right.
a Scopus index journal, then it's not the right journal where you are. All
If
right.
it's not if it's not an index journal, is that what you said?
Yes, Scopus index is the word. So
Interesting.
to do a search, you can check
Mm.
that out. It has to be Scopus indexed. And then you
Mm.
have journals also, which are Q1, Q2. You have an impact factor to it. So a high impact journal usually will take time to review, will come back with suggestions. They will want your paper to be in a certain manner. All right. With from formatting to reference citing to literature review, they check everything, every part of it. All right. So
Mm.
this is how we go about it. We have these papers, the projects that you execute, we can put them into research. We can write published papers. We can also showcase it on various national, international competitions. These are the various journals which are high impact journals. They are the right journals that we target. They are very well known journals, renowned journals where we publish, and there are many more. I
Mm.
have just cited the top ones over here, IEEE, Springer. So 95% of our
Yeah.
papers we publish in these journals.
I like the JSR, I think. And there's also there's one called the Columbia Junior Science Journal. I'm sure
Yes,
you've done that.
yes,
It's
we've done that.
very short, but it's like a two-pager you have to boil everything into.
Yes,
Mm.
that's a good point, Nick. Most of the research papers are maximum 6 pages. If you go up to 10 and plus, you have to pay extra to get those. So
Woo!
they want to keep it short, and they
Yeah,
really want to keep it to the point, you know.
that's funny. Yeah.
Here, my favorite part, prototyping and patents. So what you can do is use electronic system design, use circuiting and CAD simulation, 3D printing, everything you can build from scratch using different components and actually see your idea come to life. So that is what we specialize in. We specialize in building a braille tab for the blind. So how you have 3D objects that can be felt, you can actually have a 3D object printer that we have designed for the blind. We have designed a game for myopia. We've designed a special filter for water purification. So you can come up with ideas. I had a student whose whose younger sibling was suffering from ADHD. We actually built a game that he could continuously be indulged in order to see if that's making a difference to his treatment. So that these are the different things, something which is very close to you and you can work around that and build it on. That'll also be great. So we actually come up with ideas based on your story and what you want to pursue. So these are various prototypes that our students have built and won in various platforms. These are the patents that our students have received. So this year's ISEF, we built a project called Paw Path. I'm just giving you a few examples so that it opens your mind to the various options of, projects that you can do. Usually we have an idea, research is all about, tables and statistics and, oh my God, but it is about having a solution and really finding a solution. So it gives you a complete different dimension to what research is. This is Anshul Bhatt. He had his pet dog, and every time it walked on an urban flooring, it would slip. So he actually made a simple sensor
Wow.
unit that could
That's
figure
pretty
out his
cool.
gait. So you see Yash, an eye tracking device that would allow him to do all the eye exercise while playing a game.
Mm.
That's a drone. So I have a student who loves drones. So this is a launch pad to test how drones work. So how do you have a car alignment where you go and align your car? Sometimes it goes through so many bumps. Even with respect to drone, there's something called PID. You need to align it every time. So that's the drone aligning setup. So all of these projects were showcased at ISEF. Uh, these are the list of platforms from IRIS, ISEF, the Diana Award for your community outreach, CREST Award, the STR Hong Kong Science Fair, WSRO World STEM Robotics Olympiad, WRO World Robotics Olympiad. These are various platforms, Codever, Blue Ocean, NASA. We do First Tech Challenge, IIT Tech Fest. So you have homegrown competitions and you have international competitions where you can participate. This year in 24-25, we've had we had literally 40 out of 100 shortlists in IRIS, and we had 8 finalists
What?
in ISEF.
You
Yes.
have 40 shortlists. Wow. In Iris, that's only 100
Out
shortlists.
of
You
the
get 40% of Iris.
yes.
Oh my God.
And we had 8 in ISEF. We
That's
had
huge.
Yes, and we have our finalists even in SDR. It's an Asia
Hmm.
Pacific science-based competition.
Yeah.
So we
Hmm.
had these are the names of the students that have
Mm.
that are the finalists for this year, 24,
Mm.
25 only. I'm speaking about. We had
Mm.
2 RSI admits from India.
Mm.
We have the finalists in Vivo Ignite,
Mm.
the top national finalists. Technovation is another girls only innovation program, and we had the
That's cool.
finalists in that. Yes, these are various awards that we have won this year, and yes, here it is. You can ask us questions, you can ask us anything that you would like us to answer. We are more than happy to help you.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so as you can see, OMOTEC, and OMOTEC plays this vital role with one specific portion of this big counseling thing. And I think OMOTEC is the best there is at this. And so, and it's just, and the benefit of a counselor is to help you have an overall plan and an overall direction. So what you're doing at OMOTEC fits beautifully into some of your other things, what you're making on your application. So, if you're on Showbot and you're doing a project for that boy, that famous one, the example of his project, it's a dog. Tell me a little bit about that. So that's something that helps his dog walk on the streets.
Yes, it is basically, it allows you to see when the dog is walking on various different surfaces, which surface is really good for him, where
Wow.
his gait is absolutely right
Yeah.
versus where it bends inwards or outwards and he's slipping out. So
Oh
it's
my
a
God.
screening device to check
Hmm.
walk of a quadruped,
Hmm.
which is the walk of a dog.
I mean, it's definitely biomedical engineering. It could be AI as well. I'm sure there's some mathematics involved
Yes.
in that
Yes.
kind of modeling. So it,
And the beauty of
mhm.
these projects is the interdisciplinary aspect of
Yeah,
it, which you're rightly bringing out. That if he wants to show the physics part of it or the math part of it, that's also possible because he's
right,
made the entire prototype.
right, exactly. Uh, Now, okay, well, look, if you have questions, ask them, but we can just start going through. Do I help with GRE? No, sadly, I don't have any tutoring capacity, but yeah, I advise on postgrad admissions all the time. You know, you can book a consultation. I do these in sessions, so we're talking about your college list, we're talking about your essays, we're talking about everything like that. Now, a really good question, maybe better for Ritu than me. The sustainable technology projects, and I personally think, because I've seen this many times, I think that sustainability and engineering go so well together at the level of the high level university admissions. I don't know. I've just seen because it used to be, Ritu, that I thought about that idea of that issue is
Yes.
four different issues. Okay, guys. So remember, have your profile has to be one sentence. I want to study one subject because it can help me address a specific issue. Now, there are four types of issue. There are issues that relate to poverty relief. There are issues that relate to environmental action. There are issues that relate to community health, and there are issues that relate to equality and rights. That's like gender rights and stuff. Okay. And so that's Preacher. Preacher. I invented that because it's easy to remember for my students. Now,
Amazing. Amazing.
pretty cool. Now, and I used to think, okay, an engineer, you know, an engineer, okay, you can't tell a college you want to study engineering because you want to tackle global poverty. They're just not closely linked enough. And so, and you can't really say you want to study computer science or engineering to impact human rights positively. Again, it's just not connected. So I thought, okay, well, you can definitely say, I want to be an engineer because I want to address, renewable energy. That makes sense. And definitely you to say, I want to be an engineer because I want to, discover new assistive technologies to deal with soft robotics, lots of things like that. And so then what I realized is just that for certain unis, Stanford, Penn, they love environment pieces. They just do. And so they like health. Health is great. Those are fabulous projects. But for some reason, I think the environment is such a cool thing to do.
And
So, mhm.
and given the new technology that is coming in, say for example, simple example of 3D printing. When you are 3D printing at such high degrees, there's a lot of microplastic that gets released into the air. Now, if you
Mm,
want to find something that you can make an exhaust that pulls the microplastic in, it's a fab
that's
idea
so
to
cool.
explore. So you can look at environment with engineering design, you can look at environment with
That's so cool.
mathematics, you can look at environment
Mm,
with, again,
mm.
physics, any other subject that you want to link with it, you can look at environment in many different ways. It allows you to do so much more.
Exactly. And when you have an environment theme profile, what that really means is you substantially engage with one of the clear issues that fall under environment. And those issues are water access, those issues are renewable energy, those issues are like solid waste and plastics, okay? Those issues are air pollution, those issues relate to agriculture, okay? And so when you start thinking of it this way, and you start breaking it down, okay, then I think you're thinking of your profile in a really smart way because a kid who's awesome at physics and math, who says, okay, I want to focus on air pollution. Great. Then all of a sudden, you can think of, a project with sensors that maybe does sensing and detection. You could think of a modeling project that, because air pollution, it requires huge amounts of computation because it's so complicated to model. And then you start to get the whole profile being developed right in front of your eyes based on one subject and one specific issue. There's about 70 issues total that I've identified. I've literally identified them based on my past students. It's pretty
Complete.
cool, pretty
Even
interesting.
when you are doing something like air pollution,
Yeah,
if you are from Dubai, then you can look at particulate matter, the sand dust that creates
right.
the pollution, and to what extent does it impact health. You can look
There you go.
at combining air pollution to your community. So
Yeah,
I
that's good.
remember once I had a student from Delhi, and they had a switch running just very close to their house, and the odor was really very disturbing. But how was it really impacting the health on the animals around it or whatever? You can actually own that project for your community also.
I
So you
worked with that
can bring
student.
it
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah. It was a good, it was a very cool project, very unique. So guys, something like air pollution, math and air pollution, you could do an air pollution sensing project. That's where we need some IoT and electronic engineering.
yes.
You could also you could do some kind of predictive analytics project. So you're taking that data and you're saying, oh, well, then here are going to be the hot spots of air pollution. You could then be like, you could make it social and think, okay, well, who's really impacted by this? Particulate matter, construction workers. You could literally just have a simple social project that gives masks to construction workers, okay? Add in 2 summer schools, add in 1 or 2 internships, and honestly, there's your whole profile, pretty much.
Yes,
Yeah. And
very
so
much.
it's about connecting those pieces in a smart way. That's it. Now, let's see. Okay, some questions. So, Saurav, how is AI changing industries like healthcare, education? Um, a lot. I mean, that's an interesting question. In terms, I mean, with education, the question is how do people use AI? How are students using AI? That's why that's why my focus is I'm really interested in profile building. I have 2 parts of my service. I have the application essays and I have the profile building. They go hand in hand. Okay. Now, the profile building is what the student does. AI can't do things. It can write things, but it can't do things. And like with OMOTEC, with their prototyping projects, AI cannot build a prototype. It can, in theory, write a paper, probably kind of a bad one, but it can't physically assemble things. So that's why I think with our world, this world of academic enrichment that leads partly to college admissions, the focus is on doing things, winning competitions, making things. And so that's how it's changing our landscape, I think.
In fact, healthcare also, if you go to see recently, we did a project on how changing hours, like because the world is growing global, there are many shift in the number of hours, the way people are working and putting in time, and how is it impacting their sleep and therefore their health. So that's a very
Mm,
statistical, analytical
mm,
project where you study the
yeah.
heart, you study the oxygen saturation
Mm,
and the activity and your exposure to UV light.
mm,
If you are going to be indoors in air conditioned spaces all the time, it impacts your basal body temperature and therefore your
oh
entire.
my goodness.
So we
Wow.
actually, yeah. So modern day insights because of changing lifestyles, you can have so much to research on, and it's a very interesting research, you know.
Huh. That is really interesting. Yeah, so it's changing a lot. Um, now, so other questions. Let's see here. Oh, so projects in sustainable technology. Yeah, like we just said, energy, water related, air pollution, waste related. That would be microplastics, that could be sustainable materials, that could be waste to energy conversion. So Oh, and agriculture. OMOTEC's done some great agriculture projects. I think those are great. They work for an engineering application. They work for a business application too, interestingly. So agriculture I like.
I'll just give you a very simple example because I've spoken a lot about engineering with respect to business. We see a lot of, sports. We saw the women team of India just win, the
mm,
international cricket. So you have football, which is a very common sport across the world. How do you bring a valuation to a footballer? I mean, how do you define
mm,
the value of
mm,
a footballer? So you can do a complete data analysis,
mm,
a correlation matrix of figures. So if you are into football, you can do something like that. If you are into now, if you think
mm.
you want to do something around agriculture, you can understand the policies for agriculture for that
Yeah,
particular land and do your analysis on that.
yeah.
So we can do a lot of projects there as well.
Very much so. So it's a lot of different, it's a lot of interesting things, and people, they need step-by-step mentoring. Research projects are not intuitive. You have to know how to do it. You go to college in order to learn how to do it. And so this is giving you a huge head start. And I really believe that if these things existed when we were teenagers, I would have so I went to Harvard. I had no clue what was a research project. When I was 18, I had no idea. And so, yeah, these are really valuable. Um,
I headed HSBC Asia Pacific Research when
wow.
I was maybe 20 years back. So I remember I removed every insight from my research, statistical quant research and quali research I used to do on a regular basis. And I could actually make out the difference in how my product performed in the market. So from then
That's
on,
cool.
research is like a lifeline.
Wow. Yeah, the amount of insight you can get.
Lot of insights.
Now, okay, prior question. So, can you guide me on profile building for postgrads? Not in the same way that I can guide for undergrad. For undergrad, you know, um, me and people like Ritu, and then I've got some music teachers, drama coaches, everything like that. It's all a big ecosystem. There's probably about 10 to 20 organizations that are absolutely top class in India for high school students. Now, for the postgrad applications, it's a different system. It's much more about your GPA in uni. It's much more about your research work you're doing in uni. You're already in uni at that point. And so I would say that isn't really my focus, but I can certainly advise. Do you ever do work with like college students, Ritu?
Very less. For me
Yeah.
also, 95% of my students are undergrad.
hmm
And I
hmm
definitely have a few who
hmm
want to. So I have a lot of siblings who
I wouldn't
think,
be surprised.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I have worked with the younger ones, they come down.
Mm,
In fact, they've come down for holidays and they've said, even I would love to have the experience of
I
prototyping
bet.
and writing something, and it'll help me. And it has really helped them in securing good spaces,
Mm,
this thing. But it's basically through reference that I get a
yeah.
lot of queries for postgrad students.
Yeah. I once had a parent who actually enjoyed his daughter's profile building so much. He said he wanted to do a social project. We did it. It was great.
Really? That's
Yeah.
so. I do have a lot of parents who say that even can we join, but hands-free with
Yeah.
so much of prototyping work and so much of stuff happening over here. So
I know. No, and there's something special about working with a high school student, I think, where they're at this interesting moment in their life and there are these very clear goals that they want to achieve, and then it's just very clear cut. And something about the postgrad stuff is it's just so much more personal based on the person's goals, the person's ambitions. I don't know. So postgrad I do, but not in a systematic manner. I do it individually. Um, Now, does Essai deal with sanitation improvement? If you mean, can we do projects with like NGO social projects that work with that? Sure, we do that all the time. My company, we have a network of about 70, I think maybe 80 NGOs across India. We have MOUs with them. We match our students with these NGOs. We help them with these cool projects. It's great. Um, Number three, will there be anything related to astronomy or astrophysics, or will there only be general programs?
Oh,
That may be
astronomy,
for you, Ritu. Yeah.
astronomy and astrophysics is very interesting, but you should be ready for doing something very abstract because
Yeah.
astronomy and astrophysics is not very hands-on comparatively, but it is very interesting. It has a lot of simulation. It has a
Lots
lot
of computer stuff, right?
fluid, yes, fluid dynamics.
Right.
You can implement a lot of stuff in that, but it is more abstract and less hands-on. But it has very interesting stuff in it.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
a jellyfish movement, biomimicking a jellyfish movement for capturing space debris. Because the
Whoa.
kid wanted something very physical, but astrophysics.
Wow.
He came up
Wow.
with an idea like this. It just popped my head. So,
Crazy. Crazy. Yeah, that's the hard part. And so guys, and what I would do is I would be making out your whole plan and I would be thinking, okay, you should really do something in agriculture. And so you might not know, but I'll say, okay, I like agriculture, or I think solar energy is great for you, or I think water access is the right project for you. And then Ritu's team of experts, they come up with beautiful ideas. My team are looking at them, also coming up with ideas, and we're just working together and seeing which ones will work. And so that's, I think, the critical thing.
and the
Um,
critical thing is also that once we do the project, Nick knows how to package it and Nick knows how to profile it, how to put it in various places.
mm,
We execute the project
yeah.
and presents the project. And the way you present it, the way he builds the profile in
Mm,
the project,
mm,
I think it works hand in hand together.
mm,
In isolation, they're just projects. But when put together, these projects help you to build your profile.
mm. Yes, when done correctly, you need three very impactful things. One brilliant OMOTEC project, one useful social project, one useful internship or summer school. That is enough to really demonstrate that academic interest. That's my method. Now, um, okay, what kind of education-oriented project can I do if I'm doing a research about polylingualism? That's interesting.
Okay.
Um,
So if you want to do something about polylingualism, it's about various languages, then you can make a chatbot for a simple app that you create where people can ask you questions in various languages and you can answer them. So if you have a project, you can build a very simple project and you
yeah.
create this over there and the chatbot allows you to do that.
That's actually really cool. My gut also says you could do some interesting economics related projects. You could be trying to measure, for instance, measure the outcomes for children who are raised in, say, I don't know, if you're teaching in English medium versus Hindi medium versus both mediums combined or something, what is it? Is there any clear impact on education rates, on college going rates, things like that. That's like economics. That's like trying to find the patterns of like the world around us. Um, Now, how to tackle real life problems? Well, step one, identify a real life problem. Step two, hypothesize about a potential solution. Step three, test that solution. The scientific method. I think it's kind of that simple, Ritu.
Yeah, I
Mm.
agree.
Yeah,
The most difficult part is how to find the what is a real life problem. I
I
mean,
know. It's
you know,
true. I know.
finding a problem is the
Yeah,
biggest. Once you know the problem,
right.
solution is never a problem.
That's really the interesting thing. Yeah, that problem identification. And this is I used to really struggle with it until I started thinking about it in a very structured way, where think about breaking down health, community health. Okay, so you have, for instance, issues that relate to health. You have things that relate to women's health. You have things that relate to children's health. You have things that relate to senior health, senior citizens. So that would be conditions that senior citizens particularly have. Heart disease, diabetes, they fall, unfortunately, that's bad. So, then all of a sudden you might think, Okay, so senior citizen plus, the kind of full risk. This to me could be so many interesting things. This could be a simple at-home IoT sensor. Okay, this could obviously be, so it could be an at-home IoT system. This could be wearable tech, simple, low-cost wearable tech, like a panic button. You could combine this, pair this with a social project that's maybe working with domestic helpers and maybe giving them some, say, CPR training, giving them a little bit of emergency first aid training, okay? And then all of a sudden, what you've actually got is a pretty cool profile developing around this problem, okay? And this problem is, I mean, if it's dealing with, helping senior citizens, that kind of reflects India's changing composition. People don't live in joint households quite so much anymore. So people live by themselves. Senior citizens live by themselves more and more. So you make a device to address this. You think about it from a social perspective as well. That's a really interesting application. Okay. Now, so picking the problem is, yeah, it's just kind of, it's the hard part, basically. Um, Maybe let's do a couple more questions. I've got a good one at the bottom. Um, how do you help with the right major choice in profile building from 9th to 12th grade? Okay, good question. I'll take that. Um, we do it in two ways. There's a decision. You either do it strategically, where we think about, because in America, you can always change once you get in. So you can do it strategically, thinking about, okay, what are you good at? What's going to be the best way to get your admission? Build up your profile that way. Learn a lot along the way, but always that you can always change once you get in if it's not the perfect fit. Okay. So that we call the top-down method. That's the college-focused method. You're just doing it to get into college. The best thing to do it in is usually like politics or psychology, maybe economics. Okay. Now, and then there's the bottom-up method, and that's thinking about you, that's thinking about what you love. Okay. That's a much harder method, to be honest, because deciding that when you're like a kid is really hard. Some people at the age of 13, 14, 15, they know they love technology, they love their computer science, they've been doing it, they've been doing robotics training, they're doing online courses. That's super clear. Okay. Then everything else up to that is just details and technicalities. It's when you come in and you're good at many things, you don't really have a perfect direction. Um, there's usually there's two realities. There's no perfect decision here. Okay. I do not believe there's a secret subject in your heart waiting to come out. I believe that what you engage with shapes how you see the world. It's a back and forth thing. If you do a robotics project, guess what? You're probably going to start to like robotics. Simple. Okay. That's number one. And I also know for a fact that certain subjects are easier to get into the top unis on. Okay, I know that. So we'll talk. Contact Rajni. She'll contact me. We'll set up a session. Um, and then maybe Ritu, why don't you do this one on the biomed? What can I actually do? Not just write as a bio/med major. I'm doing a psycholinguistic research and some medical volunteering. Interesting. Do you have any do you guys ever do any like bio or biotech projects?
Um, I mean, luckily we are the best in India for biotech projects. We've got maximum patents there because human anatomy to crack is the most beautiful part, and every time you dig deeper, you get more information. So
Hmm,
from oral cancer to physiotherapy device
there
to
you go.
image processing and figuring out skin cancer, allergies, um, anything to do with retinopathy, we've done the world. So anything in biotech, and we've really done it very well.
There you go. Okay, so for instance, okay, so my advice would be number one, you have to show interest in human health. So pick a disease, make a cool project that could be using machine learning to detect oral cancer, that could be using machine learning to read x-rays to detect breast cancer. There's many different things you could do. OMOTEC does the biotech part of it. If you can get access to a lab, that's really hard. But if you can get access to a laboratory, then you're doing the titration, you got your petri dishes, you're getting hands-on, but that's really hard. Those opportunities do not exist commonly. I would definitely be taking bio and chem online courses. This, to a certain extent, guys, and this is what I tell everyone, okay, to get into an elite university, Stanford, Harvard, or whatever, okay, you do not need to cure cancer or solve the climate crisis or fix global poverty, okay? You just have to make it look like you really want to, okay? Like you really, really want to. Having that motivation is, and making it very easy for the colleges to understand by doing competitions, by having instantly recognizable certificates, okay? That is the game. So medical, yeah, pick a disease. I mean, I would honestly do maybe the most obvious one for me would be dysenterial diseases and diarrheal diseases. There's such a problem in India. They impact children disproportionately, urban children in India. So all of a sudden, you've got your issue. What can you do in a small scale way to try to show your interest in preventing urban diarrheal diseases? Anything with water quality, water testing, or clean water access. So what I would do for this is just an example of a profile I've just designed right now. So it's a med bio project. I think your focus is on urban children's health. I think your specialization would be on something like diarrheal diseases, which lead to dysenterial conditions. And then for the science and tech piece, I would do some kind of water filtration project. You guys have done this in the past. And then I think for the social piece, I would just do maybe some water access thing. And so then that could obviously just be education. I mean, donating low-cost water filters, for instance. That's kind of it. Like, really, I mean, that would be a very strong profile.
So, for example, as you rightly said, that it's not important that you research on cancer, even if you're researching on fever, and fever is a biomarker to cancer, and you have done
There you
good
go.
research on that,
Yeah,
it is how you deal with the project. It's not about how big it sounds, because many
correct.
times I get a question with a lot of parents saying that give us a very good research idea.
Yeah.
And so it's not about the idea being good or
It's not
bad,
about that.
it's the execution that makes the
Yeah.
difference to the idea.
I agree. And critically for me, for my part of it, I always tell everyone always says, "Oh, what's my spike? What's my spike?" And the spike they think means the thing that's really high level, that sort of they're literally imagining like a graph, like a spike on a graph. I think
Yeah,
that's stupid. That's only two-dimensional. Think
yeah,
three-dimensional. Don't think about a spike. Think about a spine. Okay, a spine, something that is in the middle, something that you can't even see very easily. It's the thing that holds everything together. Okay. You need to have something that holds it together. 99% of applicants from India do not have that. So
yeah.
that's my take. That's counseling, according to me. This has been a blast for you too. I've got to go.
Thank you so much. See you
Thank
again.
you.
And
Thank you.
let's
See you
help.
again. Thank you,
Thank you.
OMOTEC. Thank you, everyone, for coming. That was really good. Good questions. See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.